Yeah, Jay, you spoke to it, but I know you've been urging Paige to not pass up shots, take shots, maybe play more like, I assume, like she played tonight. Is this what you were looking for? And when you put her back in the game in the fourth quarter, was there some significance to that last basket to get to 34 for her? Or?
Oh, no. You know, I want her to feel, you know, like one last time what it feels like to come off the court with, you know, that sense of appreciation from the fans, you know. So yeah, that was it. It had nothing to do with. I tried to get her out earlier, but TV timeouts and all this other stuff. No, points had nothing to do with it. There was a game earlier this year when she needed one more something for a triple double, and she had already come out of the game, and I wasn't putting her back in. But yeah, playing like this, she thinks too much about her her ability to be the most efficient player in the game. So I was made aware of a stat today that when she made her first free throw, and I could be wrong, you'd have to take this up with Rebecca, that when she made her free throw today, that put her at 50% from the floor, 40% from the three, and 90% from the free throw line, which is pretty amazing when you think of it. And she has a 2-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, I believe. And she's the only player in the NBA, WBA, WBCA, NCAA, and any other player ever that's done that for an entire season. So I would say that's been pretty good work by Paige. And today, I think she was just thinking about winning. So, and she was even more efficient than she normally is. So yeah, waiting 5 years for this moment, and hopefully there's a bunch more coming up.
Questions? We'll go to Jim, front row on the right.
Is it hard to put a wrap on Paige playing here just because she wants to play four more games? This is certainly not the end of what she came here to do.
Yeah. You know, ever since Stewie walked in and said, I want to win 4 national championships, I thought, you know, there's a lot to this. When you're in high school, it seems so easy, you know. I go to UConn and I win a national championship. It just, the reality hits and you realize it's incredibly difficult to do that. So I don't want anyone to feel less than full when they leave here if they don't have a national championship. And she's put herself in that position that if she leaves here and without winning one, she's going to feel less than full. I don't feel that way, as I said, she's doing things that no one's ever done before, and she's had to do a lot for us the entire time that she's been here, and she's getting rewarded. Everything that you all have said about her and that everybody's written about her, it's all true. Every part of it. So I wouldn't be able to sit here and add anything to that. You know, her game and what she does speaks for itself, and it's testament to her work, to her love of basketball, love of being in the gym. Just, you know, she's being rewarded, and that in itself is just, you know, fulfilling. It is for me, and I hope it is for her.
Jim, follow-up.
Yeah, I looked at the stats at one time, and KK had no shot attempts, 1 assist, 2 steals. I thought she was the second best player on the court. I mean, it just seemed like the game at that point, court just shifted when she was
Yeah.
out there, whether, you know,
Yeah.
she was guarding 3 players at once at times.
Yeah, it's a reminder to everybody watching that, you know, it's more so today than ever, that your value to a team, and a lot of times your value to yourself, is how many points I score. And that's not indicative of, you know, whether you played great or not. And certainly, as you said, KK was probably, other than Paige, the most impactful player on the floor, and it had nothing to do with scoring. So in order to win at this level, it takes a lot of pieces that have to come together. And, you know, without KK's piece, you know, it means as much as Paige's piece.
We'll go to Matt, second row on the right.
Geno, just what were your impressions of South Dakota State tonight?
Well, the entire day today, I kept thinking about how we would be able to get some separation from them, because of all the teams that we've played this year, their sense of who they are, what they're trying to do every possession down the floor, how determined they are, is second to none. And I knew that was going to be the case. I knew how hard they were going to play, how disciplined they were going to play, how well they execute. And, you know, I was fearful that the game would be played like it was played that first quarter, that it would be 4 quarters of that. And that's how much respect I have for Aaron and for their team as a whole. And I think getting that separation made the difference, and we were able to capitalize on it.
We'll go to T on the second row left.
Coach, we've talked about Paige's impact on the court, but, you know, she's one of the only greats in this program that's been able to profit in college sports from NIL. Can you just talk about how that has shaped sort of her legacy, her impact on the program, and if you think her experience as being kind of on like the front lines of that has pushed your program into a different space in that conversation?
Well, I think Paige is the poster child for how it's supposed to be. That's the way it's supposed to work. You know, she came out of high school at a time when people weren't just getting paid to play. Oh, no, they don't get paid to play. Bullshit. They're getting paid to play. Well, when Paige was coming out, that wasn't necessarily the case yet. I mean, schools were always going to do it. They just waited long enough to let the keep pretending. So she made a name for herself and set a standard for exactly why you're supposed to be able to appreciate this stuff. You go to college, you're the best player in the country, and everybody wants to be associated with you. And the school doesn't give you a dime. You did it. You earned it because of who you are and your accomplishments on the court, not just how you look, not just, you know, because you're great on TikTok. You got to back it up. You have to have a game, right? And there's a lot of people making a lot of money that have no game. So to me, when that rule was put into effect, and then as I see it out after 5 years, Paige should be on a postage stamp for this is what NIL is. This is how it's supposed to be done.